Willie, welcome to Edinburgh, and thank you so much for having come to talk to the Age of Scotland Institute today about the amazing Koh-I-Noor diamond and its extraordinary, rather tempestuous history in front of an audience that clearly found it very interesting. I'm delighted you're here, and it gives me an opportunity really to ask you to just reflect a little bit on two things. One is the nature of the relationship between Great Britain and within that Scotland, as you see it, and India, where you spend much of the year living, as I know. And then the second question I'm going to have for you is, for people of your children, my children's generation, as they look at the world in the century of Asia, how to engage, and how to engage with India and other parts of that. So I guess two-part question.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I was born about a mile from here,
right.
And it's very nice to come back and hold forth on Princes Street, as I said in my talk. It's the first time I've given a lecture next to Anne Summers' shop. I think there is a great deal of work needed in this country in order to engage successfully with India.
Yeah.
There's a very lazy and ignorant assumption shown by Theresa May's visit last year to India, yes, that having fallen out with our European friends, that we can just sort of kickstart the empire as like an old motorbike we've left in a garage for a few years and just sort of mount it and ride off with it happily into the sunset. It isn't like that.
No.
The Brits have this very romantic idea of our relationship with India during the Raj as being one extended merchant ivory movie. With lots of lovely parasols and parties on lawns and Maharajas and elephants. And it all ended very happily with us giving them Edwina Mountbatten and Nehru taking her as a bridal gift and everyone leaving as great friends. The Indian memory, whether true or false, is not that at all. Memory is that we arrived as looters and plunderers, that we subjected them to humiliating and racist treatment for a long time. An older generation will acknowledge that we did many wonderful things while we were there, the rule of law,
railways,
cricket, railways, and so on. But the younger generation increasingly makes the point that most articulately put by Shashi Tharoor that you didn't need to be colonised to have to have railways.
No.
And in fact, they were built for British profit, as everything was. And the simple fact, which is really unanswerable, I think, that however much you, in a sense, set yourself on the sliding scale between the Neil Ferguson position that empire was a wonderful thing and we did wonderful things in the empire, to the Shashi Tharoor position that the empire was worse than Mao, the Nazi Holocaust, and Stalin combined. However much you want to sit on that slide, the fact remains that we arrived in India when it was the richest country in the world, and we left it an economic basket case.
Absolutely.
That's taken 70 years really to now reach parity with the British economy. And therefore, the British have to engage very carefully with India. There are many shared cultural markers that we can build on. Indians of my generation listen to the same music, understand the same TV shows, speak the same language, like the same music. Often in my generation came here to university, though increasingly they go to the States. So that we have many advantages over, say, Italy or Russia or China.
And now take it to your children's generation, drop down a generation.
But while we have those advantages, we have to go in humbly.
Yes. And
going in saying, the old colonial masters back, aren't you pleased to see us again? The answer will be no.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Willie, to hold that point then, so now here we are with the Age of Scotland Institute I set up 5 years ago, really with the mission to help this part of the UK, because you've got to start somewhere, re-engage with Asia, Pan-Asia, within which India, of course, is hugely important, and to educate and inspire people to do that. How do people of our children's generation, younger people than us, now set about engaging?
Well, first of all, the question of Scotland. Honestly, a pretty hazy idea of what Scotland is, where Scotland is relative to England, what our relationship with England is. Largely informed, if at all, by Mel Gibson and Braveheart, I think.
And your books. And your books.
Maybe my books. But if people are aware of Scotland at all, it's a slightly romantic notion of some sort of kilted figures fighting the English. And there's not a very clear idea of how the United Kingdom works and whether we're independent or not really independent.
Well, we're very small.
We are small, and the fact that large numbers of Scots were in India is at the time of the Raj is not something many Indians are aware of, and therefore, in a sense, we get sometimes are free from the taint of English imperialism, which of course is not actually historically accurate.
Saved by their ignorance.
The Scots were as deeply implicated in the bad things that went on as the English, certainly. Yes. But I say the Indians in general don't know that. So, as for engaging with it, it's not difficult. Just buy a ticket, go to India. It's a very welcoming country. Yeah. Things grow there very fast in Indian soil. Yes. I founded a literary festival 10 years ago in Jaipur. It's now the biggest in the world.
Yes, amazing.
If I founded the same festival in Edinburgh, there already is one here. But if I founded in North Berwick,
it would not have grown.
It would not have grown at a fraction of the rate. No. And many other people have had similar experiences. Things, if they work, can grow astronomically quickly, and it's a very easy place in some ways to get things going, get things working. Yeah. There is a huge pool of educated labour. Yes. There is great goodwill. There's capital. There's lots of things you can.
Still, a lot of people who speak English in some ways better than we do.
A lot of people speak English, and many of whom went to university here. So there's a lot to work with. Yeah. It's not a difficult place. Yeah. I mean, it is a difficult place in the sense that it is corrupt. Government is obstructive rather than offering assistance. Yes. The climate is a dog 3 or 4 months a year. Yeah. It's gorgeous, about 8 months a year, but it's 3 or 4 months a year, which is incidentally the same with the English and Scottish summer. Right. So it's a good time to come back here, which is what I'm doing here at this moment, avoiding 47 degrees. Yeah. But I've always found it a very easy and enjoyable place to live. I wouldn't say I've always found it an easy place to live, I'll rephrase that. I've always found it a very stimulating and fascinating place to live. Not always easy, often frustrating, but never boring. And I say above all, just endlessly stimulating for a writer. It's like being a child in a sweetie shop.
Wonderful. So to encapsulate your comments for the young people, get up, go, see it, experience it, and if you want to build something, it's a good place to start. Yeah. Willie, thanks for coming. Great to see you. Thank you very much indeed.